Today we're building a Box agent with LangChain, and we're going to do it in two ways. I'm Alex Novotny, Senior Developer Advocate here at Box. Let's get started. If you aren't familiar with LangChain, they are one of the top AI frameworks you can use when building out AI applications. I'm not going to go over all of their products and features today, so make sure to check out their website at langchain.com. For the first way to set up a Box agent, we're going to utilize the Box AI Agents Toolkit. This provides an intermediary layer between the Box Python SDK and your application, allowing you to speed up the coding process when building out agentic workflows. For this demo, we're going to use a procurement folder within Box. Inside this folder are two other folders. One has purchase orders and one has invoices. We want to find out if any of the invoices do not have a purchase order attached to them. To find the code for this demo, you can go to our Box community GitHub space in the LangChain Box agent repository. I've already cloned the code to my local machine, so let's check it out. Like other agentic workflows, you need to provide an agent with a model, and in this case, I am using 4.1 mini. Let's go into this LangChain Box agent and see what's inside. If we go down to where we initialize the Box agent, we can see that it is using LangChain's create React agent method. This is creating what they call a React agent, meaning it reasons and can take actions. I'm providing it the model, which like I said earlier is OpenAI's 4.1 mini, as well as tools. Going down further, we can see the various tools that I am instantiating. So who am I in Box? Searching across Box content, reading specific files in Box, etc. You'll also notice I have a parameter here called parse docstring. This is really cool. It allows you to send in a string that defines the arguments that you need to input or the model needs to input, as well as the output that it needs to return. So if we scroll down and look at a specific one, for example, the box read tool, we can see that the docstring is saying, hey, you need to input a file ID as a string, and then I want you to return a string, which is the text content of the file. So let's run this demo. We do it by running uv run source run agent demo. And this is going to pop open a UI. For both of the examples today, I'm using different front-end frameworks so that we can just showcase, that you can interact with a Box agent in multiple ways. For this specific example, I'm using the TK interface. With this interface, I have a couple of buttons, or you can type in the window. You could do either, but I'm just going to click the buttons. So the first thing that I'm going to try is who am I in Box? This should return developer relations, which it does. The next thing that I wanted to do is find the files that are within that procurement folder. And it's going to use the Box search tool to search for a folder called procurement to do this. And here we go. It found all the different files. So now let's see if there's an invoice that doesn't have a matching purchase order. And again, it's using that read tool to find all of the different information in those various invoices. And it's telling me that there is a specific invoice that does not reference a purchase order number. So let's do this final click, and it will look and find the purchase order that is missing. And it's saying that it should reference purchase order number 4, but the details in the invoice do not match. This is really cool, right? It took information from Box, multiple files, searched across them, and found an invoice that didn't match a purchase order, which is exactly what we were wanting. So the second way that I want to create a Box agent is using the Box MCP server. In this first example, I showed using tools that we individually created. You can also use an MCP server, and it will automatically load all of the tools within it. In a previous video, I've walked through setting up the MCP server. In order to run this demo, you will need to have done that. You can find the instructions to set up the MCP server in that video, or you can follow the README at our MCP server Box GitHub repository. The code for this second demo is within this GitHub repo called LangChain Box MCP adapter. And again, I've already cloned this to my local machine, so we'll jump over to the code. Over here in the code, we can see that it is significantly simpler. And by simpler, I just mean less code is required when setting up using an MCP server. Again, I'm inputting a model, OpenAI's 4.1 mini. I've given some server parameters that map to my MCP server that I've already set up and configured on my machine. And then we can see this method here on line 41, load MCP tools. Essentially what that's doing is it's looking at the MCP server and it's bringing in all of the tools that it has, allowing the agent that we create to utilize any of those tools. Again, I'm using the LangChain create React agent, exactly the same as I did in the first example. The only difference here is I'm using the MCP server. Let's run this. It is going to use a different UI, like I said before. This is going to use the rich console library instead of TK interface. And again, it's just to show that you can interact with the Box agent in multiple ways. And to run it, we're going to input uv run source simple client.py. It's going to ask me for a prompt. So again, let's just ask it, who am I? And again, this should replace or return developer relations. And I'm going to make my terminal window bigger. So we can see it does say that I am authenticated as developer relations. So now let's try to go find that procurement folder again. It's going to search for the folder by name, and then it's going to list out all of the individual files, which is exactly what we would expect. So now let's find out if any of the invoices do not match or have information related to a specific purchase order. And this is going to take a little bit to process, but just like it did in the other example, it's going to go through the individual files and figure out which invoice does not in fact have a purchase order attached. We can also see in this example that the UI is providing a lot more context than necessarily the TK interface did. It's again using the exact same tools underneath it all, and it just showcases it in a more unique way than maybe the TK interface did. As we see here, it does return, in fact, that invoice A5555 does not have a matching purchase order, and it even tells us the corresponding purchase number that we should map it to. Now you might ask, why would you set up the individual tools versus using the MCP server, since essentially they do end up at the same outcome? And really, we just provided these two different libraries to demonstrate that you can achieve the same outcome and to provide you flexibility in creating your own agentic workflows. And as you can see, it's really easy to build a Box agent using LangChain, especially using the two demo repos that we've provided. And while this example just shows using Box, you can imagine adding Box alongside other agents that access information in third-party systems.